What's up, War Room? Welcome back. We are a little over 2 weeks from the NFL draft, which means it's time to talk about mock drafts. Joe Caporoso here, joined by Connor Rogers, looking great in the Badlands hat. Got him out for some air, some water, some food. Final stretch for the NFL draft. Connor, you holding it together. How you feeling?
I'm good. Listen, these are the late nights. I wake up. First thing I do is write reports. I go to bed last, and I'm writing reports. But I feel great. I mean, the thing is about this, a lot of it, the legwork is done, and it's just taking your notes and putting it into a piece of text that the normal fan that doesn't breathe college football and scouting 24/7 can kind of go, okay, I know everything I need to know about this player if my team takes him. So it's been a really good process, obviously, with Dan, Meeks, and Greg involved as well. I couldn't do it without them. And it's a really deep draft, which makes it a lot of fun. It's a rewarding draft because you actually stack 300 players and you feel like a good amount, not a good amount of them, but plenty of them will have long NFL careers, which is always a great feeling. So I love this time of year, as hectic as it is, and I will be very, very happy to just take a deep breath in May as well.
Yes. So not to stress you out more, but Draft Guide is about a weekish away.
We're in
For
good shape.
if you're in War Room, you're getting it. If you're not in War Room, you're not watching this video right now. So I'll tell you on the pod to subscribe. We'll also have it available on badlandstoj.com for a one-off and for you to get your draft party tickets. Get them. We're gonna have some great raffles. We're gonna have live pod with some old friends, which we'll announce as it gets a little.
It's
closer.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be working again with our roots from back doing live podcasts back in the 2015 range. So we'll talk more about that as it gets closer, and some drink specials, some food specials. It'll be a good crowd, and eventually I'll go grab some of the stuff that we're gonna be giving away. I'm looking at it now, and it's all quite cool. So I'm excited about it. Anyway, tonight's episode, War Room. What I did, a common folk top 10 mock draft that I put together that I emailed over to you earlier today. We actually did pre-show notes, which we usually don't do for both the War Room and the podcast tonight. And I want you to kind of react to my top 10, how feasible you think it is, what you think I'm missing, how we feel if it shakes out. And then we're going to answer a Discord question from Grubbs about basically what is the best case scenario for how the top 10 goes for the Jets. And then we'll jump over to the pod where we're going to go through the challenging, strenuous exercise of ranking the Jets starters 1 through 22. So a couple bits tonight, a couple segments. So here's I wrote this Monday. We're recording this Monday night. It's hitting the feed Tuesday. This is where my mock draft sits. I only did one trade. Now I'm assuming there'll probably be two or three, but for this, it was important that I did this one because I do think that the first four picks in this draft are going to be quarterbacks. So I put Caleb Williams going first. I put Drake May going second. I put Jaden Daniels going third. I have Denver, although this could very well be Minnesota, trading up to number 4 to get J.J. McCarthy. So the first four picks are quarterbacks. I have the Chargers going Joe Alt at 5. I have the Giants getting Marvin Harrison Jr., which makes me sick. I have the Titans going Malik Neighbors. I have Atlanta going Dallas Turner. I have Chicago going Fontenot. And my current mock draft pick for the Jets, Rome Odunze, which times up perfectly with your big board as in the 10th overall player. The Jets get him at 10. I may be wrong, but as it sits today, I'm very much of the belief that the Jets want a playmaker for Aaron Rodgers in the first round, and that they like Carter Warren and Max Mitchell as backup developmental tackles. I do believe them when they say that, even if we don't fully disagree. I think they probably think Wes Schweitzer is fine as an interior backup. And maybe they know in the back of their head they're going to get Bakhtiari, and they're going to say, look, doesn't mean we're not going to address offensive line later in the draft. We will. I think they're looking at their group of pass catchers and saying, we're one piece away. They might even be two pieces away, but they're definitely at least one piece away. I think Odunze, if he's there, is terrific value at 10. This is a guy that I think we've talked about maybe trading up a spot or two for. There's a lot of angry, overheated discourse about potentially taking Brock Bowers or not taking him. Personally, I'd be perfectly fine with him in this spot. I just like Odunze a touch more, especially for this Jets offense over the next couple of years, which I'm selfishly thinking through that window. Not that he won't be great long term. How do we feel about this top 10 mock? What is pragmatic about it? What am I not thinking of? And then how do we feel about the pick at number 10?
Well, what I like about it is once we get to 5, it's definitely different than consensus. And you have to remember when you're somebody reading these, writing these, whatever it may be, the draft always goes a little bit different than we expect. I can't remember a year where I woke up the day after night one of the draft and I said, wow, there's really no surprises. It's just not the nature of the NFL draft. I mean, there's things put out there for reasons. Teams lie. There's surprises because teams aren't expecting a player to fall to this spot or that spot. And there's just so much you don't know. But I think, and I'm guilty of this as somebody who covers the draft almost all year round, where you start to talk about it so much that you start to forget or minimize that there are things you don't know that could happen. So, I think that it's good to go through an exercise where it's different. Now, it's not saying Caleb Williams at 1, Drake May at 2, Jaden Daniels at 3. Like, that is very, very feasible. I feel like even now, too many people have locked on to Jaden Daniels just going second overall, and we'll see what happens. Like, I think that is a true coin flip at 2. I know there are absolutely divided opinions in that building over it, and I don't even know if they know who they're taking right now. So, the trickle effect is what a lot of people hear and say is that New England would consider staying at 3 and taking Jaden Daniels if he was there, but they might trade out if he's not. It's hard to verify how, definite something like that is, but let's go in this scenario that it adds up. So you have quarterback off the board. It's very real, it seems, that somebody will trade or try to trade into the top 10, and it would probably be for J.J. McCarthy as the 4th quarterback off the board, barring a surprise where McCarthy is one of the first 3 quarterbacks taken. So this is very feasible. Denver, now you have to ask yourself, who will be is a different combo. Minnesota has more buying power because they have 2 first-rounders this year in a draft that's really good. Denver is in a pretty desperate mold, but they have to offer a lot more future assets because they don't even have a 2 this year. So that's where that gets a little convoluted. But I agree that they'll be one of the aggressive ones if they're afforded that opportunity. Same with the Raiders as well, and they all pick in a row. So when it comes down to it, I mean, Arizona, we know Monty Austin Ford, how much he moved around last year, not surprising. Where it's interesting to me is 5 with the Chargers. So you have them take Joe Alt, which Joe Alt is every bit of a Jim Harbaugh kind of player.
That's where my mind went to it. Like, this guy, he's just, if someone's taking an offensive lineman, unless I'm missing something or he's putting up a massive smokescreen, like, isn't Alt like the most like tailor-made Harbaugh guy ever?
He is. It's just interesting because they'd have to be sure that he or Slater can play right tackle. And I don't know how you move over somebody as accomplished as Slater at this stage, even though Slater played both sides, I believe, in college. So would the Chargers, 1, take an offensive lineman, which I think they absolutely would consider it. And 2, who would it be? I think J.C. Latham and Taliza Fuanga, both right tackles, would be in play here as well. Let's not forget, like,
you think Latham could go as high as 5? You think
I do. Latham is the classic prospect of the people that have the highest opinions of him think he should be a top 5 pick. The people that have the lowest opinions of him are like, ooh, I kind of have cold feet about him as a first rounder. I've gotten closer to the middle. At one point, I was like, I don't know if I like J.C. Latham in the first round at all. Now I've talked myself into the back end of round 1, where I still think he's more of a guard than a tackle, but the Latham, I mean, it'll be in. I wrote his scouting report in the guide and explained all of that. So that day will come where you could read my thoughts on all of that. So the thing is, here at 5, I think the Chargers are going to do everything they can to trade this pick. Joe Ortiz from Baltimore. Baltimore loves to accumulate picks, like that's their thought process. So the Chargers want to get tougher on the offensive line and defense. So I can see them trading out and taking the best defender. But this isn't completely, like, you can't rule this scenario out. So then 6 with the Giants. There's no quarterback for the Giants here, although Penix is going to go a lot earlier than people think. But the Giants, there's no quarterback for them at this spot, so they take Marvin Harrison Jr., no-brainer. They need a wide receiver. 7, the Titans. Now Alt's gone. They would be between Malik Neighbors and the top tackles. You had them take Malik, very feasible. They need a wide receiver. He's a great player. 8 Atlanta. This is what I call another entry point to the draft. It's the first entry point that is not for a quarterback, in my opinion. I think Atlanta will answer the phone for teams that know the Bears and the Jets would take Rome Odunze. Now, will a team pay the price to get into 8 for a wide receiver? That's another conversation, because like you think Buffalo, Kansas City, maybe. It's really freaking expensive. And if you're Atlanta, are you comfortable going to the back end of round 1 from 8? I'm not in this draft. So you'd have to get a haul. You have them take Dallas Turner. I mean, yeah, they're going to be on Turner, Jared Verse, Johnny Newton, like all the top front 7 really defensive linemen, edge, D tackles. 9, the Bears. Their line got better as last year went on. Fatanu is an awesome player. I would applaud this pick. I do have a feeling the Bears are the favorite for Odunze because Keenan Allen has 1 year left on his deal. Odunze's play style is very comparable to Keenan Allen, where he'd be the perfect person to learn from him for a year. So the Jets in this scenario get Odunze. It's not a zero. There's not a 0% chance that the Jets get Odunze. Like, he could easily fall to 10. It just would surprise me. I think Bowers is a better player, but I do think the power of a true outside receiver carries value, and I think Odunze is truly that boundary back shoulder ball. I can make plays when I'm not open kind of player. So I really like the pick. I think the scenario of him making it to the Jets is, lower than a lot of Jets fans would hope for. But I think then also the Jets would have a fascinating decision at 10. Do you take Odunze, which nobody's going to criticize if you take Rome Odunze at 10. It's a good pick. Or do you hold a bid to come get Rome Odunze at 10 and you get the day 2 capital that you really wanted? I think I would lean taking Odunze than moving out of the pick. And to the point of like offensive line, you could still get a good prospect at 72, not a great one, maybe not even good, an average one. So there's ways to do this. But yeah, it's an unconventional mock draft that I think the pathways all are very, very logical. And I think the Jets ended up making the right choice with how the scenario fell into their lap.
We are very excited to be partnering with Underdog this NFL season. We've already tested out a few best ball drafts, both in football and in MLB. I've been sharing my pick'em picks across NBA, which I've been doing quite well on, so you should follow them. And we've been having some good Discord chatter. So sign up for Underdog Fantasy, use promo code Badlands, get a deposit match, and get ready to ramp up as the season gets here, because there are some massive best ball drafts that are going to be upcoming. We're trying to warm you guys up with some smaller ones now, because a couple big ones are going to hit. I think we have a couple spots available on our recent one right now that I'm going to bully Connor into joining after we get off this. CR, any words on Underdog?
Pick'ems are a blast. I mean, especially this time of year where we're just dying for some football or any kind of competitive spirits. And you got hockey, which I absolutely love. You are killing the NBA. We got baseball. And of course, like you said, I would want to get in on this before you and I start some of our bigger action best ball drafts, which are going to be community based, first come, first serve, wide open. It's not private invite. We're just going to drop the information. People jump on in. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I felt a little towards the end. I'm like, who am I having the Bears take so the Jets could get Odunze? Am I just
They're the variable.
Wish casting here? Yeah, am I wish casting here that they wouldn't take him? And look, in my scenario, if they took him and the Jets took Bowers, or they took Thomas Jr., or traded down not too far, it's hard for them to go wrong. It really is. I feel like the wind is blowing towards them taking a pass catcher. I think it probably ends up being a receiver. I've been very surprised by the overall Bowers discourse, how like strong it is in either direction. I think
it's trying to compare it to something.
Over analysis of a guy being in the spotlight on a major program for so long. I mean, like probably just overthinking that he's just a really good football player and will catch a lot of passes and score a lot of touchdowns. But man, having a plug and play receiver like Odunze would be incredibly exciting. But again, it's very hard for the Jets to go wrong here. You saw me get up during you talking, because I did want to actually get our official Badlands Yeti, which is going to be one of the things we're raffling away at said draft.
It's a beauty.
So this will also be for sale once we rip through a few more quarter zips. But shout out to Paul, because this thing is sick and I've been using it all the time. Second part here. We got a good question in the Discord from Grubbs. Basically, what is the best case scenario for the Jets in terms of how the first 9 picks go? And yeah, it's going to depend how you feel about their need, but
Right.
practically, what is the scenario that you're sitting there on the desk and you're like, oh, this is going like absolutely perfect for the Jets in terms of the range of options that they have, in terms of the direction that you want them to go? I would have to imagine any scenario like this includes 4 quarterbacks going, because that chews up almost half the picks in front of them, and maybe 2 defensive players going before they pick. But what is a perfect, and you could include trades here, like what does a perfect 1 through 9 look like that tees the Jets up for what we want for them at number 10?
Right. So it's like total Mike and the Mad Dog. I mean, Caleb Williams goes first, Drake May goes second, Jaden Daniels goes third, all static. Bears, Commanders, Patriots. Somebody trades into. This is weird. So somebody trades into 4 for JJ McCarthy